Secretary Clinton, Dan Biddle, Inquirer Politics editor. It's a thrill to be able to have a live Q&A with you, but I want to come back to those lunches, especially since you just used the words more public disclosure. As a citizen, I'm really unsatisfied with your saying you won't disclose the transcripts of those lunch speeches for which you earned more money than most Americans make in several years, because your rival candidates, whom you think are less qualified to be president than you, won't show us theirs. Especially in light of, many Americans having an issue, in many a public opinion survey with your trustworthiness. I really want to know what was said at those lunches, and I would love you to either release those transcripts or convince me as a journalist in this trade for more than 30 years that when a major public official refuses to give full disclosure of a transcript like that, that official or that leader has something to hide.
Well, I can only say this. Let's make sure everybody is already as transparent as I'm sure you pressed Senator Sanders to release his tax returns because, of course, he hasn't.
Secretary, with all due respect, the question is, will you disclose the transcripts of your lunches?
I want to make a broader point because I've already told you what my answer is. When everybody meets the same standard, so will I. I have to be very clear with you. I believe that the American people have more information about me than anybody who's ever run for president. I believe there has been a concerted effort to tear me down, to attack me, to criticize me, and there certainly has been a double standard between me and others who run. And at some point, I have to say, look, let's meet the same standards. Let's start with tax returns. That has been the standard. I have more than met that standard. People have been poring over my tax returns going back 30 years, and as I said, 8 years are posted on my website. That is a very clear difference between me and Senator Sanders, between me and Donald Trump. And I frankly am always a little bit bewildered. Everybody keeps asking me to do more and more and more. And I have said, let's have the same standard. And I will be happy to do the same. But when you have transparency demands that only I meet and others running do not, it kind of raises a question in my mind, will people ever be held to the same standard that I've been held to? So I've been clear. I've been clear for months. When people release transcripts of speeches they gave, I will release mine. But in the meantime, I want to see their tax returns. That's been the standard for decades, and they should meet that standard.
So you won't tell us what you said during those lunches?
I talked about my experience as Secretary of State. I talked about the world we lived in. I talked about global challenges. That's what I talked about in all the speeches that I gave. That's why they asked me to come. As they asked Colin Powell, as they asked Condi Rice, as they asked Madeleine Albright, because when you come out of being Secretary of State, all kinds of people, from auto dealers to banks to healthcare professionals, are interested in your views about the world. And I probably told the story of the bin Laden raid maybe 25 times because that's what they were interested in.
Madam Secretary,